Hey, it's Jeff from Pondoff's Anonymous. We've been talking about recovery and real-life stuff for a long time, and now we've got something that fits right into that world. It's our new coffee, Light in the Dark, a bold Colombian dark roast we made with Long Story Coffee. If you spent any time in recovery, you know coffee is a part of the deal. In the rooms, with friends, early mornings, late nights, this roast matches that energy, smooth, steady, and honest. And every bag helps support the work we do on the show. Grab Light in the Dark at pondoffsanonymous.com. Start your day the way so many started recovery, with a cup and a little light.
Pondoff's Anonymous is brought to you in part by McKelvey Insurance. Let's be honest, insurance sucks until you need it. That's why I fuck with McKelvey Insurance. These folks aren't just slinging quotes like robots. They're actual humans who solve real problems. Whether it's personal or commercial insurance, McKelvey works with over 30 companies to make sure you've got the best coverage at the best price without the bullshit. You're not just a number to them. They build real relationships. So when life changes, or your rates do, they've got your back. They'll shop around again and again to make sure you stay protected without ever overpaying. Call or text 618-623-0080 or hit up McKelveyINS.com. That's McKelvey, McKelveyINS.com. McKelvey Insurance. Quick solutions to real-life insurance problems anywhere in Illinois or Missouri. Guys, let me tell you about my good friends at Light Source. Light Source Psychotherapy in Belleville, Illinois is a small group practice committed to providing individual, group, and family therapy, as well as clinical and reflective supervision to those in the helping field. Check them out at findyourlightsource.com. They are the best in the business, my friends. I know them personally and well enough to tell you and put my name and word on it. If you're struggling with mental health, family issues, addiction, grief, you name it, give my friends Chaz and Holly a call. Their private practice is life-saving, and they will help you find your light.
Yeah. I'll react if I had to. Put some things in the past too, and don't let them distract you, but react if you have to. I'll react if I had to. Put some things in the past too, and don't let them distract you, but react if you have to. Yeah. React if you have to, yeah. Don't know the time, yeah. Just know that I'm, yeah, one of a kind, yeah. What's on your mind, yeah. What hard to find, yeah. Beautiful mind, yeah. Still in my prime, yeah. Just know that I'm here.
What's up, everybody? Pondoff's Anonymous episode something.
I don't even know what it is.
Guys, it's
30s, 40s. Season 2.
Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Just,
I think it's 42.
we were just talking before. We just said hit record. We have Matt Pryor on and Jeff. I'm going to let Jeff do the official intro.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked.
It's episode
Jeff
42.
has been fanboying out for since Matt said yes. So go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, Matt Pryor of one of my favorite bands of all time, the Get Up Kids. I first heard about you guys in the early 2000s. So I heard I'll Catch You was the first song I ever heard, and fell in love with it. There's a record called Something to Write Home About that song's on, and I didn't know if you guys were going to be like all like these slow songs or what. And then I listened to it, and that record freaking rocks out. So it's awesome. And I just knew like it was the real deal because you had that line, Jinx Removing is in there, and I'm a big Jawbreaker guy. So I'm like, hell nice. Yes. Yeah. So Matt's done so much. He's done the Get Up Kids, the New Amsterdams. I really loved Radar State, which is kind of probably a deep cut a little bit.
Deep cut.
And then he's got a new record out, and it's really good. And there's a song on it that he wrote a Substack about called The Dishonesty, where he was very ironically honest.
Interesting.
And yeah.
Well.
So it's the stuff we talk about on our show, and I thought, owning your story with recovery, and it lines up perfectly. So Matt, welcome to Pondoff's Anonymous.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, Matt, we are, a recovery mental health show. We go down quite a few tributaries. at times we've had professional athletes on. We've had we have had sex worker on. We've had everyday Joes like myself share their story. We've had mothers that have lost children to this disease of addiction. And, you know, when people listen to it because they know one of us and like, yeah, we'll check out your podcast, and may think they're not impacted by the disease of addiction or the recovery world, they listen for about 10 minutes and then start thinking of the people in their lives that have been impacted, and that's indirectly or directly impacted them. The sad reality is it's one, it's not 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon anymore. It's about 1 degree of all of us are impacted by addiction, alcoholism, behavioral health stuff. So it's kind of how we base the show, and I'm thrilled to have you on, and excited to listen to you guys nerd out a little bit about punk rock. I'm a fan, and I need to probably like dive in more because I do love the music. I just and I've listened to Jeff's band, and when I think of punk rock, I think of, I guess, Blink 182, and I probably sound like a dork saying that to you guys, but
I love Blink.
There was a song by them, and so the guy from Blink 182, Angels and Airwaves, the guy that started that band, there's that song, The Adventure. Ashley and I actually walked in our wedding to that song. So, cause I know a little bit of Be Dangerous. I know, I'd say I lived a life of recovery and active addiction. So that might be my forte, but thank you so much, Matt, for coming on and getting vulnerable with us. Zoe will pop in and out. She's having some technical difficulties. Matt, where are you located?
I'm in Lawrence, Kansas, actually.
Oh no! Sorry for our Mizzou fan listeners. They have a rock chalk hatred.
You don't worry about it. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. So. I'm actually from Kansas City, Missouri originally. So
okay, I read that.
Yeah.
I read that. Love Kansas City, and I do have I suppose, being a University of Illinois guy and a diehard Illini basketball fan, I have a reason to hate KU too, because they stole our coach a long time ago and he left us for them. And it's a fun, but I do know some people that go to Kansas, love it, love Lawrence. How are you? About 45 minutes from Kansas City?
Yeah, give or take, depending on the weather.
Okay.
We got like 4 inches of snow today, so it didn't really.
I was going to ask.
I was planning on going into KC to go to Costco today, but I was just like, well, nope, not doing that.
No way. Yeah, we that's why we're all remote now, because St. Louis gets shut down with the 3 inches we got, and
yeah,
the weather folks got it very wrong again. It was supposed to start about 5 and be a dusting, and about 11:30 we looked out and cars were sliding off the highway. So so here we are. I the way I used to tell weather was I just look up what it was doing in Kansas City in about 4 or 5 hours.
Mhm.
That's what it's going to be doing here in St. Louis.
That's actually.
What's your favorite barbecue joint out there?
Oh, in Lawrence, none of them. The
Okay.
ones in Kansas City. I'm an old school like Arthur Bryant's guy. That's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's lots of there's good barbecue in St. Louis now too, and there's also just like you can get good barbecue anywhere, but it's not that
True.
kind of regional specificity of any kind of cuisine is sort of like not really, in the internet age. It's sort of like you can have a pitmaster in Timbuktu that's probably got the best barbecue in the world.
Right. Yeah.
Except for St. Louis style pizza, that's pretty much.
No,
terrible,
I actually
Easy.
I like
Yeah.
St. Louis style pizza. What's the Provel? What's the name of it? The cheese blend? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that
Provel
shit's
cheese,
delicious. I love it.
Emo's pizza.
I'm glad you said that. My wife's from LA and she can't stand it. I love it.
Honestly,
Yeah,
you know what I
mine's
like
good.
maybe more than St. Louis style pizza, which is my understanding is that Chicago tavern style pizza is the originator of St. Louis style pizza, or it's the other way around. I don't remember which, but it's the thin cracker crust and the cheese, and like,
Mm-hmm.
so I really like that, but
You're probably right. We probably mocked it off of Chicago, but we'll never admit it. So the first part is probably accurate, but we're going to say
okay.
that they copied us.
Yeah.
We have an inferiority complex with Chicago that's quite large. And I'm not a big fan of their deep dish. I do like the tavern
Deep dish
style
is
if
just
I
sort of a
go.
special occasion food. It's like eating a whole block of cheese, like it's just
Oh,
it's just a lot.
right.
Even people who live there don't eat it every fucking day. I hope not. They'd be dead.
Right. It was it was a bachelor party back 13 years ago. I'm 11 and a half years sober that I
That's
scarfed
the
down a deep
I
dish,
mean,
and after a
the
long
problem
night.
with deep dish when you're drinking is that, like, cold pizza the next morning is good for hangovers, but you can't do it with deep dish because it just turns into a solid artery clogging block of cheese. It just doesn't. It doesn't. It's more
That's a
cheese
good
than
point.
bread, and what you need is the bread when you're trying to, like, soak it up, keep the
Soak
wolves
it
at
up.
bay, as it were. So that's my drinking tip for the day.
So there you go. Well, we got a lot of
Yeah.
people that are sober curious that listen, and as they're navigating their trip maybe towards rock bottom, they'll take that advice and know which kind of pizza to get. We
Well, maybe the trying to eat deep dish when you're super hungover will be what really wakes you up.
it gives us
You're
a
like,
we'll get a
man,
call.
what am I doing with my life?
So you started music at a young age, I imagine, right, Matt? If
I started playing in bands when I was 15.
okay.
So
The reason I ask it is I think we've had a couple musicians on the show. There's almost something synonymous with being a rock star, if you will, the music lifestyle with some kind of. I mean, it's probably hard to not get into experimenting and drinking and doing anything in front of you. And that.
So I came to it a little bit late because I didn't drink at all until I was like 22, and I started touring.
Really?
Yeah, I started when like my folks, like my mom's been sober for like 35 years, and I ended up going to like Al-Anon and Alateen meetings when I was a kid. So I kind of knew.
Oh wow!
I knew the program, and I knew that this was something maybe that the hereditary angle of the whole thing, that maybe this was something I should stay away from. So when I first started touring, I was completely sober, and and it wasn't until the band got successful and we started touring on a tour bus, and I just realized how fucking boring everything was. Like, I didn't have anything to do all day. I mean, it sounds like a, woe is me, but it was just like, I was used to, like, I think that I have as much of a workaholic tendency as much as an alcoholic tendency. And so then when all of a sudden I didn't have work to do every day, I didn't have to drive the van, I didn't have to settle the show, I didn't have to sell merch, I was just the singer. I just had to show up, and I didn't even have to load gear anymore. I didn't even have to, like, I was just like, full on lead singer syndrome. Like, just, I don't do anything except sing, which is great for some people, but was terrible for me because I just didn't know what to do with myself. So I just was kind of like, well, if there's already all this booze around us, might as well. And it's like, yeah, if everybody in my band drank. And so, you get your, the thing is, like, when you're playing in bars, you're working in bars. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you go to hear live music, is in bars. And so,
right.
And then
sometimes you get paid in booze, by the way. Like, they pay you with beer.
Yeah, we had gotten past that point, but it was to the point where, like, part of our guarantee was to have cases of beer and bottles of whiskey backstage that were just there. And then sometimes they were delivered before the club was even open. So it's like, 2, 3 in the afternoon, and like, we have our full booze writer backstage and nothing to do. It's, so yeah, and it's like plenty of time to, like, get drunk, do sound check, sleep it off, and then go and do the show. You know, have a couple to like get your head straight and go back and do the show. But then also there's this sort of, I don't know, romanticism about addiction in the music industry that just sort of like, the craziness, the kind of Ozzy Osbourne, rest in peace of it all, the sort of like, we glamorize people who have mental health issues, and then we romanticize when they do something destructive to themselves, sometimes even taking their own lives. And that's a real thing. And it's very easy. Like, I never got into drugs. I was just a drinker, but it was just very easy to come by. Like, it was just very like even like rolling up to the bar before, like, it's just like, hey, we just drove 4 hours. Can I get a beer? And they're like, well, we're not open yet. And I'm like, well, but I'm the singer of the band that's playing the sold out show tonight. Think you could get me a beer? And they're like, yeah, oh, yeah, sure. So, and
sure.
But yeah, it's definitely not this. So, I mean, it's, what's interesting though, is it's becoming more sober friendly because younger, like Gen Z kids don't drink that much. So like bar sales are down at rock clubs now. And then like, even like my home club, this place called the Bottleneck here in town, has like 10 NAs.
Oh, really? Like on tap?
Yeah.
No shit.
Not on tap, but in cans. But it's just
I mean,
they didn't have anything. They had maybe like O'Doul's when I was younger.
O'Doul's at the tavern I grew up at, it was O'Doul's, and then they had a Bush NA, and they both tasted like dog shit. Now I was in Manhattan last week for Thanksgiving, and I'm not a mocktail guy. I was a whiskey neater on the rocks, club soda maybe guy, and I asked them. I said, if it's not sweet, because most mocktails you have to make with some kind of syrup or it's sweet, and they're like, we got something for you, and it was a NA Scotch, and it was not sweet at all. It was pretty good, but what they've done to the NA game is drastically different than like you were saying.
Well, and it's interesting because like I know that's controversial for some people, because I think that some people that's just too close. For me, it doesn't bother me, and it's kind of like, but it's situational. Like
100%.
If we're going to a baseball game and I can get an NA, and like the only reason I liked going to baseball games was for the beer anyway. So it was just like, or if we're going to go out to dinner and I can get, or like if we go to a Mexican restaurant and I can get like a virgin margarita, that's good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like that's
I get it. Totally. Yeah. You would need a couple beers that'll take in some Royals games, right? I mean, out there in Kansas City.
I'm not touching that one.
You've seen a couple winning squads though. Not to age you, but
I have to tell you, if you want to talk about sports, I'm not your guy. I really don't. I don't give two flying fucks about sports unless it's professional wrestling.
We should have. Jim on. We can talk wrestling.
Now we got it. It. We're.
I actually really love wrestling. I've loved it since I was a kid. But I love, like, my bandmates are so like diehard Chiefs and Royals and KU basketball fans, and they get super like. Super Bowl Sunday this year when we were on tour was a really rough day for them. And
oh my God, yeah.
But I just keep talking about like, this is stupid. Can we just watch the Royal Rumble? And they're like, this is not even a real sport. And I'm like, you're not a real sport. What do you fucking know? Like,
we had Buff Bagwell out to our treatment center, and he's recently had an elective leg amputation because of a car accident he got in. So Buff, he's we stay in touch. He's going to come on the podcast. I am a closet wrestling fan. I paid attention to Survivor Series Saturday night.
Yeah, I watched the clips. I like the drama of it more than the wrestling itself.
Amen.
Like the
give
story.
Give me the mic stuff. Yeah.
I've become a huge women's wrestling fan.
Oh yeah,
I can watch Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss. Rhea's fucking fantastic, obviously, and you know who I really like is Tony Storm, who's in AEW, Have you seen her?
Yeah.
Oh man, she's amazing.
Uh-huh.
But
Go way back to Lita. She was a Jawbreaker fan, right?
that's
Anyway, whatever. Sorry.
Yeah, so I will
I
not
had-
nerd out on sports, but I can go down the wrestling rabbit hole. I remember when the Raw, so Owen Hart died in Kansas City at
Kansas
Kemper,
City,
right?
yeah.
And the next night was Raw in
Mhm.
St. Louis, and we went to that, and it was a tribute
Oh.
show, and I'll never ever forget that. That was a sad fucking deal.
You know what's really wild about that show when Owen died at Kemper is that, like, if you watch that Vince McMahon documentary, like they didn't stop the show.
Blood on the fucking mat.
There was blood on the mat, and they just kept. It's just like I can't even, like, I've stopped shows for a fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like can't imagine if somebody died in the audience.
There was a
or
big
died on
controversy out
stage.
here that Kings of Leon stopped his show because the pigeons were shitting on him. I heard they were just too fucked up, but
Was that in St. Louis?
yeah.
Yeah, I was at Riverport.
I heard that story. That's fantastic.
So I mean, back to the musician stuff, like to Jeff's point, being in the bar business and kind of bartending back in my, active addiction days, and bands would come in, and by the end they'd be pretty shit faced. So they'd be hitting some rails of below and just keep going. And I think that's like the entry level minor leagues for bands, right? Is starting playing those gigs where everything's around you and then you kind of escalate. So good. I'm sure, like you said, everything was available, and for you to just stick to booze that's a good willpower in its own self. Its own right.
I guess so. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I never got. I was just more of a drunk than anything else, Plus, it goes along with the whole, like, artist, writer, depressive, the whole thing. So
You would like some of the people that I've met in treatment and newly recovered are some of the most creative human beings I've ever. It really, there's a big Venn diagram that of artists, creators that come through, and we've seen once people get detoxed and they'll have a couple hours to draw, or some guy we've had his guitar in, and some of the shit that they come up with, it's like real gifts. But then they got the mind that can lead to.
Yeah, well, you get into this thing of like when I talk about, like, people, like, romanticizing, is like, you hear, like, people had to be, like, I hear this a lot about, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tyler Childers, he's a country singer.
Oh yeah.
But he's been sober for a couple of years now, and, like, his new record's fantastic. And a lot of people are like, he sounded better when he was still using, like, and it's just kind of like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
but it's like
People say
that
all the
that
time.
kind of stuff. And the thing is, like, if you look at someone who's, like, super creative when they're in active addiction, they're that creative in spite of it, not because of it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
the thing is, like, sometimes people get sober and they lose their creative spark because they're not, like, getting in touch with themselves, and they're not, like, trying to do better and doing the work as it is, and
Yeah.
but it's just like the fact that people, like, actually, like, romanticize, it's, I don't know, it's something I think about a lot, because it's kind of like if you, like, what could have Kurt Cobain have accomplished if he hadn't been or Elliott Smith accomplished if he hadn't been a heroin addict and killed himself? Like, it's just, it boggles the mind,
Chester Bennington,
Yeah.
yeah. You're so right about how it's romanticized. And one of what you just said hit a chord for me, because I like to write. I wouldn't call myself a writer, but when I was shit faced drunk, I would sometimes just sit at a computer and start writing, because to your point, was really for some reason emotional, in touch with whatever I wanted to get out on paper. And then the next day, if I read it, it was dog shit. It was a drunk manifesto, if you will. when I sobered up and was, I may be less like going to like a real deep, dark place
You
to
there?
write. Yeah.
Yeah, we got you. You back?
Well, I was,
Sorry,
no, it's all right.
my it's just this is the curse of the snowstorm. Sometimes the internet isn't
Okay,
great.
thank you.
Oh,
Honestly,
great. You just
Miss Emma,
validated Zoe.
I'm really glad because I've been over here struggling. I'm using my phone and my arms are not stable. So if I'm moving around, I'm sure. But I agree with what you
Well,
guys are saying.
I'm glad. Yeah, no, I'm glad you're back, Zoe. But because I don't want to try to get into your head right this second. But to Matt's point, when we're creating and we're wasted, like there's something emotional that we're in touch with when we're using or drinking, and you want to create their outlet, whether it's saying or write, paint, whatever. And then you look at it sober and like, that's probably not my best work. When I got sober, it was harder to get to a place to actually write, but when I did, it was way better.
Well,
And
yeah,
so
it's
there's
like
something.
it's not the and I'll just use drinking because that was my thing. Like it wasn't the
Sure.
drinking that made me a good songwriter. It was the fact that like it allowed me to like feel the things that I was too scared
Yeah.
to like, contextualize and work on.
Totally.
And it gave me courage until it got to the point where it just was completely debilitating and I couldn't do anything. I could barely get out of bed.
Right.
But then when you get sober, at least initially, you're kind of like, you have to like, it's like you have to relearn how to walk, like, and it's just sort of like, then you have to like relearn how to like tap into those feelings again, but doing it without the aid of chemicals.
Well,
And
right.
so like, I do a lot of like, meditation and reflection and spirituality work and stuff like that to try and like really kind of find, like try and access those things without having numb myself to get there, because like, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, just I'm like, you're like spitting facts. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. Because I think also something that is like a commonly said thing that I think lacks empathy is the like, yeah, it's liquid courage, or like it gave me courage. It's like the courage is inside of you. It's just also like, for whatever reason, the nervous system is so hyper aware that you can't access like what you were saying, like the happiness, the joy, what's already really in you. And so
yeah,
it makes sense meditation is working.
But it's a crutch, right? Because it's like you ultimately you have all that stuff within you, and if you work on yourself, then you can access it. But if you don't know how to do that, or from whatever, like, mental health, family trauma, like all sorts of baggage that we carry with it, ourselves, it's just like, the booze will give you like the ability to, it'll give you the kind of false sense of security to be able to access those things. And then sometimes,
shortcut.
Yeah, but it can't be maintained long term. That's why people flame out. You know what I mean? Like
For sure.
In creative spaces, it's just because like you can't replicate it on a, like, it's like, because like songwriting is a skill. It's like learning how to do anything. Like, it just sort of like I have to keep doing it to be good at it. And it's like, when I was so wasted that I didn't want to get out of bed, it was just like I didn't do it, and I got
Right.
and so
it's not sustainable is what I'm hearing and totally empathizing with, if they're relating to, is to use your, I mean, the way you said it flames out, it completely flames out. You think you got it under control, and next thing you know, it's gone. How long, when you started drinking at 22 and you guys were at this point, I mean, if your just job is to show up and sing, to me, would you consider that making it in your industry? I mean, to me, that sounds like you made it.
I mean, it depends on what you're something that I'm learning about myself now is that like my interpretation of quote unquote making it is not necessarily what, like, I just wanted to make music and go on tour. And then I went on tour and we were successful about it. And now I just want, like, honestly, the creative process is the only part of this job that really, like, I can take or leave performing. Like, it's fine. It's
Okay.
fine. I can do it. It doesn't like you ever hear like comedians talking about how like if they don't get on stage for a long time, they get like antsy. I don't get like that. Like when COVID shut the whole touring industry down, I was like, sweet, I don't have to leave, you know, like, and
Right.
that's not how most people. So I've lately I've been thinking of myself more as a writer than a performer, and like that's the stuff that like really gets me excited. And so when the band, but you know, the band started when I was really young, and we got successful when I was really young,
Right.
and so like it's like whatever your determination of making it was, it was like it was my full-time job pretty much since the beginning of when we started touring, because it was just sort of like, and so then it's like, okay, I've done that, and then it just becomes like different levels up and down of like how many tickets you've sold or how many records you've sold, and then it becomes like becomes a lot less of a, you know, you start a band when you're 15, 18, it's like a passion project, and then when it becomes a job, then it's sort of like you have to find that passion again, but I didn't know how to do that. You know what I mean? Like I just was sort of like
the game changes for sure.
That's a good.
But
Matt, when you I feel when you are 22, the definition of making it is different than when you're 42. And so, but I put myself in a 22-year-old musician's, like if you're 22 and your job is to sing now, and you now have all this time on your hands, you know, I hear idle hands, devil's playground stuff on what kind of led you to start drinking. And
oh, absolutely. Yes.
As a 22-year-old, I bet I can, we think we're invincible, I think sometimes at 22. And if, I don't know if you felt that way, or if you felt that you were on top of the world, and because you had participated, you'd grew up with a mom that was struggled from this. I mean, wise beyond your years on going to Alateen and Al-Anon at a young age. So the yellow flags, if you will, were there. I don't know. Was there any part of that when you were 22 thinking, I got it, I made it, not going to impact me?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, I don't know. I think thinking that I'd made it is giving me too much credit at that age to be that self-aware. You know what I mean? But I definitely.
Okay. Yeah, you know, that's fair.
I definitely know that, like, when I decided to start drinking, I was kind of like, well, I can probably handle this, you know? Like, yeah, I know it runs in my family and it's taking everybody else out, but I could probably handle it, you know, like, I'm different.
He's different.
Obviously.
He's different.
Know?
Yeah.
So
how long, I mean, when did it start falling off the rails?
Well, that kind of depends on who you ask, really.
To go through your fourth step.
My, you know, I think it'd been pretty dark for a while. The new record that I just put out is sort of a chronicle of the last 6 months of, you know, having an existential crisis, hitting rock bottom, going further down from rock bottom, and then getting into detox and into recovery, and what I've learned from that. Right. That's like the whole, like, it's not a concept record because that just sounds pretentious, but that's sort of what all the songs are about. Right. And
how many songs are on it?
10.
Okay.
But it's just, you know, I had this sort of like moment where I was, like, I have there's a song on the record that's called Union Transfer that's about a show I played in Philadelphia that was the most I can't even explain it. It's the most it's like an out of body experience in that like I'm the lead singer of a band playing a sold out show and I cannot enjoy, like I can't even smile. Like I can't enjoy myself at all. Like I don't, like there's no happiness in it whatsoever. And it was just kind of
I've
like,
been there, man.
what's wrong with me? You know, and it's just one of those things where like, because of the nature of my job, I'm not technically supposed to complain about these sort of things, but it's like depression doesn't have any reason to it. You know what I mean? Like depression doesn't just go like, oh, you know what? Everything's fine. Like you're good. You know, like it's just like I was depressed and I was medicating like really heavily, you know? And so, you know, I don't know. It's just, that's where it all, I don't remember what your question was.
How old were you at that show? No, it's all right. How old were you at that show?
I was 44. So I put in a good 25 years before. No.
Oh,
let's
wow.
See, from when, I guess I'm almost 20, like just 22, 23 years. But I've been sober now for almost 3 years. So that was February 2023 is when,
so you're almost 3 years sober. You referenced a hospitalization. Is that something you're comfortable getting into?
Sure. Let's see. I actually was in the hospital twice. My wife, I had been in over the winter, just getting to the point where, I mean, when I look back on it now, I was basically like, you know, bulimic, and I was just like drinking and vomiting and not eating, right?
Yep.
And staying in bed and not really able or willing to get out of bed. And
that's the end of the road, Matt.
Yeah. So my wife made me go to the hospital and they were like, we're checking you in right now. And I was severely dehydrated. And so they hooked me up to a bunch of like 2 different like saline drips and a bunch of like monitors and shit. And they made me, you know, confined. They wouldn't let me out of the bed and all this fun stuff. And in the hospital, I kept getting kind of conflicting messages and I thought this was interesting because it's almost like they didn't want to tell me. Like some people would be like, you need to stop drinking. And some people would be like, you need to cut back on drinking. And like what? And so when I got out, I was like, well, I'll just cut back on drinking.
Right.
Then.
Nobody gave me that option.
You know what I mean? But then after about 12 days of trying to do that, and then, you know, kind of doing this sort of like, I guess what we call sober curious, of like calling friends who are sober and being like, I think I need to deal with this. I ended up checking myself into a detox center in Kansas City. That you know, I was there for a couple of days, and then I really just kind of I didn't have to like have severe like DTs or anything like that. It was just more like sweating it out, and then kind of having the structure and the like knowing what to do with myself, which is that thing that they talk about like in early recovery of like, you know, when they say like go to 30 meetings in 30 days or whatever. It's just like I basically didn't know. I didn't know. I knew people who were musicians who didn't drink. Some of them were in recovery, so I knew it was possible, but I didn't know anybody in my immediate circle that did it.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
So then it was just like, I just went to, you know, AA meetings like twice a day until I kind of like got my sea legs. And then I had to like relearn how to play music and how to be around. Cause I think it might be changing, but at least when I started touring again, everyone in my band still drank. And it was sort of this thing of like, you know, there's that phrase, changing your playgrounds and playmates. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Where like getting sober and like getting away.
I have not heard that precise one, but I've definitely heard similar. I like that. I've heard like you change your environment.
Yeah, that's something.
I like that.
I like playground.
I've got all the old school, you know, recovery euphemisms because of my folks. But like I couldn't change anything. Like I still had to be around the people I used to drink with and go to the places I used to drink at, because that's my job, right? So I
Right.
had to like relearn how to like live in those spaces. And so like we had a conversation, and we had like, you know, the first tour that we did, and this is still kind of the rule, is that like the tour bus was a completely sober space, right? There was no booze on the bus, but then it was like everywhere else was go crazy. You know what I mean? Like, so like,
Sure.
there were a couple of times where like going into our dressing room backstage, I would just like walk in and just have to turn around and walk out, because it was just, you know, it just reeks of tequila,
Right.
and it just sort of like. But actually, a couple of the guys in the band have one of them's, they're not in recovery, but one of them's been sober for 2 years, and then it just seems like things are like slowing down for them. I don't know, but
Well, our bodies certainly speed up the aging process when we're
that's the thing about
drinking a bottle or two a
well,
day.
and then that's the thing about, you know, what's the best hangover cure is being 22. You know,
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah, I got sober when I turned 30, and you know, I now I tell my wife often, there's no way that I could parent the way that I was my cycle of alcoholism, and the older I got, that I would have to start drinking earlier in the day just to feel better. It just impossible.
well, it just becomes
when I was in
becomes
college,
maintenance.
I was
It just
superhuman.
becomes maintenance at that point. You know what I mean? Like it's just sort of
Right.
like, this is what I need. You know, it's like,
Did you have jaundice or anything
no,
when you got hospitalized? That's a blessing.
not that I'm aware of. They didn't tell me I did.
I bet I can imagine I mean, the check the liver enzymes and get a little concerned. What was your drink of choice, if you will? Were you a hard liquor guy or straight beer?
Well, it was, you know, that kind of like negotiating thing. So it was like, I really liked hoppy beers, and I would drink those, and then I would gain weight and try to like just drink vodka soda water, and then I would get wasted.
Sure.
And then, you know, and then just drinking wine all the time, you know, and
Okay.
but mostly beer. Like, it was one of those things where you're like,
All right.
oh, if I just drink beer, then I know where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, it never gets away from me unless
Right.
you stay up till 4
yeah.
in the morning drinking, you know, consistently drinking beer. So, you know,
That's why I always say that I minored in cocaine addiction, because by the time 10 p.m. rolled around, I was a whiskey drinker. I needed something to keep me upright, or I was done. And doing a line of speed would allow me to drink more alcohol. So it was a tool
So,
to abuse my primary.
you know what that was for me was performing the show, because I would
Nice.
moderate. I would drink before the show, but I knew I had to moderate so that I could still do my job, because if you start getting a reputation, that kind of like, you know, I still wanted to perform for people and make money, but then at that point I've sweat through everything. So I'm completely sober walking off stage and just ready to go again. You know what I mean? And then but then I'm also physically exhausted. So it's just sort of like, then I'm just drinking to get myself to sleep. And I couldn't go out after the show because I would lose my voice. If I would sing for an hour and a half, and then I would go out to the bar afterwards and try and talk over the music or whatever, then my voice would just be gone. So I basically would stay, you know, on the bus after the show and drink wine and watch wrestling and cooking shows by myself, because everybody else would go out. And so that was a depressive life. But yeah,
Sure.
I never got into everybody else got into like doing coke to like stay awake and stay out longer, but I just didn't. I couldn't go out anyway. So
I read in your book, I read your book, and I saw you have type 1 diabetes. Did that interact poorly with drinking?
Yes, very much so. to the point where like you start to kind of like trial and error what drinks work better. And, you know, beer, ironically, is the worst one because it's like basically just bread.
All the
and
stuff.
Right.
But yeah. And then like having like really poor blood sugar control because you make bad food decisions when you're drunk, you know? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably can't measure the appropriate amount of insulin to take when you're drunk.
it's trickier. Yeah.
When were you
When I was in
diagnosed?
6th grade. So
Oh, so this is, I mean, a lifelong. Is this what juvenile diabetes
yes,
is?
but
Type
they
1?
don't really call it juvenile
Okay.
diabetes anymore because so many people who aren't children get it now.
Sounds like a really
Okay.
mean thing to call it.
Got it.
Do you feel better with like diabetic symptoms since you've been sober? Like since you've been in recovery, do you feel better than you did before? Diabetes wise?
Well, yeah, I mean, physically I feel better. I mean, I've lost some weight. I exercise a lot, just as much for mental stuff as
Right.
physical stuff. But then, yeah, my blood sugar control is better. It's just, you know, you're taking I mean, you have to account for the carbohydrates in alcohol when you're, you know, when you're eating, but then it also absorbs into your body at a different rate than like pasta. Like if you just ate a piece of bread or a beer, they would be absorbed into your body differently, even though they're basically the same thing. You know what I mean? They have the same amount of carbohydrates in it.
My one of my closest friends, he's I think he told me he'll never stop drinking, but you know, there was a time we were at a tailgate at U of I, Zoe, and Ashley was there, and he did a shot, and then he took it was in like the high 400s. My wife's like, is anybody calling an ambulance here? And his wife was like, oh no, he just did a shot of Rumpelmans. He'll come back down in a second. And my wife Ashley was like ready to call the fucking EMTs because RD was spiking a little bit, but I mean it was instant. He took the shot.
Well, I mean it's refined sugar. You know, it'd be the same thing as like eating a bag of Skittles. You know what I mean? Like it's just sort of like.
Yeah.
His doctor told him he was a Budweiser Rumpelmans guy, and his doctor told him to quit drinking. So he went to Bud Light and Dr. McGillicuddy, which is like Rumpelmans Light. That's not what the doc said. That's kind of what you were told, though. Like you can stop drinking or drink less. He must have heard that.
You know, it's also like you hear what you want to hear sometimes. You know what I mean? In that situation.
Sure. I think that might be the. I am curious about your. You said you went to you went to the hospital. They hooked you up, and obviously they were trying to medically detox you a little bit because, and you know this probably as much as anyone that we always at Illinois Recovery Center we are a medically assisted treatment facility for detox because alcohol and benzos can be fatal, cold turkey.
Right.
So when you went to the detox a couple weeks later in Kansas City, it had to be medically, right? A medically assisted detox?
Yeah, but it was more like, you know, they gave me Ativan to like chill me the fuck out. And then mostly it was like, I don't even remember what everything was, but it was like stuff to like help me sleep and stuff to help me like, but you know, honestly, like the most difficult part of being in detox was that I couldn't maintain my own diabetes management because like they took all of my, you know, I'm carrying around needles, you know, I have to take, and they took all that away and they were just like, they're like, okay, we'll give you your insulin. And I'm like, well, and then they start doing it wrong. And I was just like, you're not giving me enough insulin. And they're like, well, this is what the dietitian says you need. And I was like, well, this is not enough. Like, this is not going to work. And then they're like, then my blood sugar would be in the like 300s. And they're like, why is your blood sugar so high? And I'm like, well, I fucking told you before.
Ask the doctor.
Like, this isn't enough. Like, if you guys are going to, it's like, I'm not trying to, like, I understand the logic behind you needing to like handle my shit, but like,
still mine.
At least, like, I should you
You've
should
been
sort of
doing
like
this for
listen to
40
me.
years.
Like listen to
Right,
me
yeah.
about like that I'm going to need more than like 4 units of insulin to eat a
Do you
cheeseburger. Like it's just like, it's
do you
what's
well, I
that?
was just gonna ask,
That's
do you
wild.
feel like the way that they treated you as a diabetic patient, like in the whole of you being in the recovery setting, did that affect your recovery journey, like mentally? How they were, that's got to be like pretty disenfranchised, I feel like, to be like, you can't have even what you,
That's a social worker term right
it,
there.
does my question make sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to think because like I think if I understand what you're saying, like I think it more just pissed me off more than anything, and it
Sure.
wasn't like it felt like a completely separate issue from the recovery process. Like it was just more like you're like there was an element of this particular hospital that I went to that like I think the detox floor hadn't been like updated
Love,
since like the 80s.
Mm.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's kind of like
Yeah.
it very much felt like the drunk tank kind of like it just sort of felt like this is where, and it was during COVID
Oh,
too. So like I've got this beard and I'm walking around with a mask on and my beard's like sticking out of it and like yeah.
So
But it's just like
Zoe, the whole process was disenfranchising, is what I'm
yeah.
hearing.
But it was like
Hearing Matt say.
it was more just
yeah.
like frustrating. It was just like you're
Right.
not
They're not,
helping, you're not making this easier for me, and it was
Right.
and it just got into that kind of like that sort of like
yeah.
hospital bureaucracy sort of thing. And I'm like, if you would just let me talk to the dietitian, and they're like, well, she's not available till Monday, or whatever. And it's just like, well, okay. Like, I don't know what to do. And so what I ended up doing was just sort of like, cause it's like carbohydrate management is what I have to like deal with for insulin ratios. So I just stopped eating carbs when I was in the hot. So it'd be like, I was just eating cheese, it's just like, I would go and get like cheese and just like, okay, that's like, I can't, you're making me feel shittier because
Yeah.
you won't handle that. And so it
Okay.
didn't like test my resolve as far as like wanting to get sober and stay sober. Like it was more just like, this is I don't think it's an underfunded hospital. I think it was an underfunded detox part of the hospital. And what it really made me
There,
angry about was it felt like that was almost intentional. You know what I mean? Like it was almost like, oh, these are the people who have ruined their own, like this is their fault. So they get
Like the politics.
they get the
as well.
scraps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're nailing kind of where Zoe was asking about. There is some dehumanizing and stigma that we face, and I mean, it really was. It's not unique to Kansas City. It's a nationwide
Mhm.
issue. It's really what birthed us to, and Eric to start Illinois Recovery Center to do it better and differently than which is sad. The majority of places out there. So we've seen that, and some other horrific stories. I for instance, remember when you said you had kind of been hospitalized and were basically bulimic. You were drinking, and which is a diagnosable eating disorder, right? So,
Right.
which is when we first opened IRC, when in theory, I would say over 90% of people that check into treatment have a co-occurring eating disorder. They're not, and if you were to say that you had an eating disorder, some treatment centers will say we can't, because it's a very hard and difficult condition, especially you see it mostly in young females, but it's all of us have it. And when somebody tells a clinician that, or they say this person has an eating disorder, they oftentimes want to be hot potatoed out and referred out
Mhm.
to where there's a minimal beds and resources for folks that struggle from that. But when you get to the bottom of we can detox what we're self-medicating from, that a lot of times that unhealthy relationship with food starts to get
Well, I
getting a
mean,
lot
my
better.
unhealthy relationship with food was that I was prioritizing alcohol over food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just sort of like,
Right.
once you took the alcohol out of the equation, I was
Sure.
fucking starving. So I just ate all the time. You know, I was just like,
Right. Yeah.
so,
You and me both.
you know, it's that kind of joke about like, oh, I quit drinking beer and I lost all this weight. And I'm like, well, I threw up every day for a month and I lost like 20 pounds. And then when I quit drinking, I gained it all back because I actually ate food,
Oh,
you know,
man.
Everybody.
Right.
kept it down. But what?
Oh, I just said everybody's different. Love it.
Yeah.
Recovery looks
But yeah,
So-
I think, you know, it's kind of interesting though, is that like, there's I've known a couple of different friends who went to a really good facility that's in Atchison, Kansas, about like 45 minutes from here, that is called Valley Hope. That is like, everyone loves it. Like everyone who's been through
Heard
it
of
is
it.
just like, that place is, like people go back and visit the staff. Like it's that kind, you know, like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, shit, I could have gone to that one, you know, like, but you know,
Yeah.
you know, and that's, I have heard of
it's
Valley
supposedly
Hope.
great.
When you hear about the good ones, you know, you keep them in your network because the sad reality is there's not enough
Yeah.
beds, right? So we're working with other treatment centers that align with our mission, because, you know, we have 48 beds and we're at 46, 47, depending on the Monday. It's a whole thing. So to have quality places out there that we can work with is a gift. When you so you got out of detox, you started going to meetings. You're nearing 3 years. Are you still active in any type of program, or you say you exercise a lot, you meditate, your spirit, it helps with spirituality?
The only
Um,
group setting that I still kind of get into is this Dharma recovery, this like Buddhist one.
Yeah.
I
I know about Dharma. Yeah.
I know that AA is technically a spiritual practice and not a religious one, but my experience with it,
Right.
at least in the Midwest, is that that's sort of more of like, what's the word? That's just like sort of like chatter. That's just sort of like a suggestion, you know, like it's still very religious.
Sure.
And it's
Ooh,
very, I find it to be kind of, because it's got its roots in, and I went to Catholic school for 12 years, so I'm pretty like well versed in
Uh-huh.
Christianity.
It started with that.
And
Sure.
it's kind of it can have a very like shame-based sort of like mentality to it, which is sort of like, you know,
Matt, you don't got to dance around it.
the thing is, like, sometimes I get accused of shitting on AA, and like AA helped me a lot, but just like I kind of feel like
let me tell you,
I outgrew
we
it
could
to
go
a
all
certain
day on
degree,
this.
and it's just like the sort of like Christian shame based, like I need to surrender and have somebody else take over, versus the Buddhist approach, which is more like this is all inside of you and you can, you know, it's like, and then like even just like changing some of the terminology. Like I really struggled with the word surrender, and the word surrender is all over the 12 steps. And it's just like, I like the word acceptance more than surrender. And it's just like, I accept that I am powerless over alcohol. I accept, but then, you know, it's actually what I like even better than that is if you go to, the Satanic Temple in Salem, Massachusetts, they have a sober faction is their satanic recovery program. And they do it as an incantation. They do it as an incantation or a spell. So they do like the serenity prayer, but it's like a spell that you're like doing like you know, like it's like light candles and like project. And it's just like, I'm like, that's great. I love that. Like as a lapsed Catholic, I'm just like, okay, yes, give me more of that. But
right.
Sure.
The
lapsed Catholic. I
well,
love
I
that.
also
whatever
also like
it takes. Jacob has said this.
No, I just like to say I'm a recovering Catholic too.
The love
That's our term. That's our term. We We are part of a church that is made up of recovery Catholics, and growing up Italian, you either are Catholic or nothing, and so I totally get the shame. I love AA. I send a lot of people there. I recommend it to a lot of people. AA's founder said it's the A way, not the only way, and there's a lot of rooms where that's lost.
Well, I think it's a lot like a lot of
I
things,
feel
including Christianity. It's just like you get into this thing of like the teachings are positive. It's a net positive. It's the people who interpret it that fuck it all up for everybody. You know what I mean? Like
Say it again for the people in the back.
Human beings.
Yeah. Well, it's just like AA is very helpful, but then like if you just go into these meetings and like you just feel like you're a piece of shit because you have a problem, and you want to get help, it's just like that's not. I mean, I guess I don't want to say it doesn't help. It's not helpful. I mean, some people maybe that's what you need, but like it didn't work for me. That's all I can say. Like it just like. So I really like the recovery Dharma. It's just the group that I have in town is very small. It's just a couple of people who are friends, and like we just sort of like read this, like we'll just like read like a chapter of this book and just kind of talk about shit, and just sort of like it's more just the community aspect of it, but it's also just a lot of like this is the community thing is very important, right? And so like when I'm on tour, like when earlier this year we went to Europe on tour for the first time since I've been sober, and I'd already been on tour in the States a couple times and I was fine. But then as soon as we landed, our first show was in Greece, in Athens. And as soon as we landed there, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I can't be here. Like I was just like freaking out. And so I got on the app and I'll do like Zoom meetings for Dharma recovery. But then like I just found an AA meeting that was in English in Athens. And I went to that and I was just like, I haven't been to an AA meeting in 8 months or whatever, but I just need like to be around like-minded people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How was that? What was it?
It was cool. It was a lot of people. I noticed that the tourism in Europe, especially in Athens, was very retirees, like going to like the Acropolis and stuff. So it was a lot of people who were like old timers and a lot of British people. And that was kind of interesting.
But I think that's really cool because I will tell people a meeting, whether it's Dharma AA, a satanic meeting, a meeting's better than no meeting if you're if you're desperate. And Jacob, who is part of this podcast network, is our ED at IRC. He's really well versed in these in all the programs. Studied a lot of them, including satanic ones to the hardcore Midwest Bible Belt fuck off shame programs that you're talking about. And all of them have three things in common. It's honesty, abstinence, and community. And which is really the powerful thing. And you brought up community. I say it. I'm a Jesus guy. We started a recovery community in St. Louis that is from 6 to 7. It's a little Jesus-y, but not much if I'm leading it. We say some bad words. Zoe's mom got mad at me the other day for saying fuck, but I'll talk to Elaine about that later.
It was harder for her to listen to, but she still loves you.
She better. But and then after I say there that community is our, and I used, and I hope this isn't offensive, diabetes as an insulin to a diabetic community is to an addict or an alcoholic. Like we have to have community, otherwise this loneliness will suck us right back into active addiction. Community, and then to hear that, groups and meetings and programs on the furthest end of the spectrum, different from each other, have that in common is pretty powerful. And you to find it in Greece, that's pretty cool. When you were freaking out, you needed to find something.
Yeah. I would say that that's something we need as humans, even like just outside of people in recovery. Like, I think that we're social animals, and like it's just sort of like that's where like I don't have a problem with organized. Like I'm not even really an atheist. I just sort of like I see the community value in all of that stuff more than it's the shame part of it that I don't like. And like
Yeah.
so it's just,
and that sounds simple, but there's so much shameful shit. Like
you don't realize
one
you're
of these
doing it.
recovery
I think when that's how you learned,
right?
you don't realize that that's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like it's just sort of like,
because
and honestly, to be completely honest, like if honestly Jesus would have hung out with people who swore all the time, because he hung out with,
Amen.
Prostitutes and
the awesome.
that's
like
Chris's
it's
favorite thing to say,
right.
that Jesus hung out with prostitutes. Yeah.
Amen.
Just like Chris.
I mean, it's just sort of like it's when you get into I don't know. Well, that's a whole nother thing.
No, I mean, it's like it's Bible 101 shit. Like, and everybody seems to these days be siding with the Pharisees. Like, what the fuck? And I don't know. I haven't read this thing. Barely know what it says. I just listen to people that are wiser than me.
Well, and then like to bring it back to like
on Wednesdays
to like when I would have issues with certain AA meetings is just like this just feels like I'm going to like a youth group kind of thing, and it was just like this isn't going to work. It's not going to work for me, like
that later.
And it's just like I don't. They're like, well, you need to like talk to Jesus every day before you start your day, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't do that. Like that's not.
Don't tell me what to do.
There's a song on the new record that's just called "I Don't Pray," and it's about this exact thing of just like going into these meetings and then being like, this is the only way this will work. If you don't, do it exactly like this. But then there's this afterthought of like God, parentheses, however you interpret them, like it's just sort of like, It's sort of like, oh yeah. And then you too. And then like, if you read the big book and there's like the whole, I like got to the we agnostics part and I was just like, oh, cool. And then it was just basically the vibe I got was like, yeah, everybody starts off as an agnostic, but you'll come around. You'll find Jesus eventually. You'll figure it out. And I was like, that sucks. And so like, that's what that song's about. And I don't know. I've honestly gotten more deep into my spiritual practice as I don't like the term atheist because I think it kind of projects something a type of person that in the same way I wouldn't call myself a Christian either because I think that projects a type of person. Yeah. But I don't know that I'm a theist in the true sense of the word. Like I don't know that I believe in a Santa Claus looking dude in the sky who's like ruling over everybody. So
Zeus.
It's but just like I probably believe more in Zeus than in the Judeo-Christian God. But it's just sort of like I find that like there's something, you know what I mean? I know that there's something. I don't know. I don't feel the need to explain it. And like that was something that even going to Catholic school growing up, I was just been like, well, how the fuck do you know? You know what I mean? Like it just sort of like, well, this is because that's what this says. This is what we believe. And I'm like, well, I don't know that I believe that. Like I don't know. Like but now there was this great old timer in a meeting, and he was just like, this guy who always referred to himself as a drunk and a pothead. And he was just like, my surrender is to the idea that I don't have to know what it is. It's just something that's out there that's bigger than me. And I can surrender to that. And I was like, that makes so much more sense to me than being like, these are the absolutes. These are the things that you have to like, believe in or follow or whatever. So.
Yeah, I learned this and I like it that the opposite of faith isn't doubt, it's certainty.
Oh, I like that.
And I've said that often.
That's a good one.
The more dogmatic about shit that I am, and in my experience, couldn't have been more wrong. So it's there's people that and I know some amazing, really devout Catholics that have healed the world. I know a lot of people that went to school K through 12 and then to a Jesuit college that have ran away from Catholicism or Christianity or spirituality completely because it was beat the fuck out of them, and I don't blame them for hearing some stories that I've heard. So yeah, I think it goes back to what you said earlier. Human beings really fuck up good shit often.
And I don't know. It's a whole thing too. Then you try to have like give those people grace because it's just like, well,
right.
if something must have happened to you, like,
right.
I just, you're trying to like learn acceptance and learn nobody. We've gotten into this conversation about whether people are actually evil, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what defines evil. I'm not entirely sure that it even exists in the same way that like I don't necessarily think that like the devil exists. So it's just like we're all products of our situation. You know what I mean? We're all products of like what we learned. And I think people can do evil things. And I think they can like, but I don't know. I'm hard pressed to like, because people who do evil things don't think that they're doing evil things necessarily. You know what I mean? Like shit. I was poisoning myself for 20 years, and I didn't think I was doing something bad. You know what I mean? Like it was just like I was just drinking.
Roger. It's like yeah. I believe in the like. I think that people at the core are good, and I'm like tracking what you're. People who are doing bad things at the moment, I feel like they don't a lot of times think it's a bad thing, or it doesn't seem as bad as the alternative.
Right. Which is, I think, something that's more and more difficult to do.
I always talk about
this day and age of just like, it's just way easier to just be like, that guy sucks, this guy sucks. That one's good.
Yeah.
It's too easy. It's a shortcut. Same way alcohol is. It doesn't give you empathy to like get together and like, on one person. It's like it takes a minute to sit there, be uncomfortable, and be like, well, I guess I'm kind of a shitty person sometimes too.
Well, and then you can also kind of go like, there, but for the grace of God, go I. It's just sort of like I could have been that.
Exactly.
I could that much of a fuck up.
Yeah. People don't. Talking about you getting through a Thanksgiving season about gratitude, and I was talking with somebody the other day, like our mental health is us being able to sit and have this conversation right now is such a gift.
Clarity.
In an instant.
Oh my God.
Gone.
When that whole like
bingo,
the kind of like pink cloud thing that people talk about for me was just like, I could actually think again. Like I was actually like having like complicated thoughts after like a couple weeks of being sober. And now it's just like, I'm just sort of like extrapolating on that. You know what I mean? Like I'm just sort of like, everything's so much more complicated and fascinating than it is when you just dumb it.
I was thinking the word joy. Like there's joy to which we don't think's possible when we're using and drinking. But that type of clarity and that like and fascination, leads to joy in things we would never think we would find joyful when we're just drowning ourselves in a bottle.
Totally.
Man, I want to get back before we wrap you up. I want to get back before we did some technical work on your computer situation. You were talking about this album, and you wrote it. So you've been nearly 3 years sober. When did you start writing?
So last year in October, I was on tour, and I wanted to try and do start journaling, and I started writing just like every morning before everybody was awake, and I would write like 1,000 words a day, and I realized I was writing a bunch of that was just like kind of like free association, and I was realizing
I got a shit-eating grin because I hear you say you're journaling, and how does that not turn into songwriting? Knowing your gift?
It started
or a book,
both, but it's just like I realized I was writing all these stories about what had happened to me, during this time period. And I was realizing that I was writing them down, I think, because I was worried I was going to forget them because they're not positive experiences. And so I could see just subconsciously wanting to exorcise them from my brain.
Yeah. Your brain will do.
And so, and so I was writing all this stuff down, and then I was like, well, maybe I could write another book about this experience. And then I was like, or maybe I could write a record about it. And then I've been kind of fascinated for a while about story structure and like this sort of like Joseph Campbell and like getting into like the Dan Harmon story circle. I don't know if you're familiar with him at all, but like it just like the kind of like hero's journey shit. And it's like, so I was like, what if I wrote a record that was like that had a beginning, middle, and end and like an arc? And it was like, so that's what I kind of did. But I also at the same time was like, I want to take these stories about what happened to me and I want to put them in a narrative arc. But then I also don't want it to be that you have to know what that is in order to listen to the songs and like the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think that's what kind of defines a concept record is when you're like, well, the concept's cool, but like only 3 of these songs are good. You know, like, and so.
Can you give me an example of what, or is that, would you be shitting on somebody?
I don't know. No, I don't think I should. But like,
can I?
Okay. That's why I asked. Very fair.
Yeah, Zoe, you can.
Go ahead.
So like there's an album supposed to be listened to all the way through, and there are only a few songs that I feel I can listen to. And it won like a bunch of awards and stuff. But Igor by Tyler, the Creator, then also some Kendrick albums. Like since he's so now, he doesn't write songs for them to be like good or catchy. It's like he has a storyline of what he's going to say. The one that's on it.
I think that's a choice as an artist that you make, you know, and like I think that's, you know, I write pop songs for the most part. So that was an important part of it for me is that I wanted, and that's why my record only has 10 songs on it, because I was just like, I don't want to have anything in there that's just narrative and not song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like, I wanted the song to be more important.
I see what you're saying.
I figured that I wanted this to be able to be something that could be enjoyed by people who weren't in recovery or didn't have even know about that. That's what this was about.
Larger themes.
You know what I mean? And because also I really want to say this though. Like I really just don't want to be in the business of like selling recovery. You know what I mean? Like I'm just sort of like, I am there for you if you need support, but I'm not trying to like push anything on anybody. I'm not trying to like make money off of it. I'm not in the wellness space or whatever. Like it's just sort of like, this is just like the story of what happened to me in my life. But at the same time, it's got to still be catchy pop songs. You know what I mean? But yeah, I know what you mean. You get into this thing as a lyricist of just being like, well, this is a really important thing that I have to say. But then you have to like let your songwriter, your melodicist mind take over and be like, but is it catchy? You know what I mean? And that for me, I'm not.
Huh. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
It's tricky. It's like putting things in order.
There's so many songs out there when I listen to them, and then years later, I mean, there's reels on Instagram like it will tell you what the song's really about, and then it's like, then I end up liking it more and like re-listening to it. I find
nobody
that
really knows what a song's about. Like, that's the thing.
Well, there's an old showbiz thing about like whenever somebody comes up to you and says like, I'm so glad that you wrote this song about this. They could be way off, but you just go like, yes. That's exactly what it's about. Yes, this song is about the Titanic. I don't know. Sure. Like
people here.
Whatever it means.
I didn't realize until I read your book that like I'll Catch You is like a love song, not a heartbreak song, really. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, it is kind of heartbreaking in parts to me, but
no. Yeah. It's complicated. you know, like
it is.
I mean, I don't know. It is a love song, but I don't know. A lot of the songs on that record in particular are about like friendships ending.
Yeah.
And people think that they're about like love, relationships ending. And I'm just like, oh, no. I was like, but if that's what it means to you,
my buddy Joe.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like a
thinking about
painting,
my-
you know? I mean, it
yeah.
can mean
Or
anything
The
to
Bible.
anybody.
I
It's
used-
art, right?
Yeah, well, hey, there you go. That's it.
There you go.
That's the one. Drop the mic.
What'd she say?
She said like the
What'd she
Bible.
say? I can't hear her.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Ah, got it. Yeah, you're right. Don't you? Well, I heard that I watched this video once from the lead singer of that song "Closing Time,"
Mhm.
and he says that's about the birth of his child, not a bar closing.
Yeah,
I mean,
interesting.
yeah.
And then he played it and walked through it, and
Whoa.
I was like, "Holy shit, that's pretty fucking."
Well, it's
cool.
about the end of one chapter and the beginning of another chapter. I mean, it's all a metaphor, you know. But those are the great.
What is your favorite music
My favorite music.
to listen to? Yeah, to listen to. Like, who are some of your inspirations?
Well, like lately, I've been listening to a lot of I like that new Tyler Childers record a lot. I like a lot of singer-songwriter stuff. Like Steve Earle's a
Okay.
big influence on me. I've really been digging Jeff Tweedy's new. Speaking of St. Louis,
Belleville,
Belleville
right?
boy, yeah.
That's
We're
at
from
Belleville.
Belleville.
That's from my hometown.
I didn't even think about that when I said that. I really do genuinely like his record. Uh,
Yeah.
We
But-
believe you. That's awesome.
there's this band.
Like, yeah, right. It's a weed.
There's this hardcore band called Military Gun that I think their new record is about the singer. I don't know if he's sober or he was just assessing his life being in a band and drinking every day kind of thing. Like, I don't know if he is in recovery or not, but there's some elements on that record that I really, really, really like. And the songs are good too, which is,
Zoe literally just got a pad and
Y'all,
paper out to
I've been
write that
writing
band name
things
down.
This episode is chock full. I started keeping a notebook.
Yeah.
Writing. Keep going, everyone.
nice. Very
Nice.
cool. Well, I should
the
probably wrap
new
it up.
album.
I need to eat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt, I appreciate you so much. So you're the band, and the band it's back together. The Step Up
The
Get
Get
Up
Up
Is that-
Kids.
Oh my!
what?
Matt, how
Yeah.
often do you have podcast interviewers who don't know your music?
Oh, I don't
Probably
care.
very
It
often.
doesn't.
I love it.
I don't know.
I
I'll
I
go
didn't
fuck
say
right
much
off.
because
It
I wanted
doesn't-
to
My
turn this
bad.
into a
It doesn't
fanboy
bother-
episode.
It doesn't bother me at all. What does get my goat is when promoters get the name wrong. Like if you pull up to a
Right,
club
you have
and your name's on the marquee and it's
Yeah.
spelled wrong or there's no
Or
the
the
or
flag
it's
song or
like-
something.
it's yeah that so there's actually this is kind of a bit of inside baseball. There's actually a clause in our contract that if any of the advertising has our band name spelled wrong, we get a $500 bonus.
Oh,
And so it's just
Well, shit. Did I sign
No.
that?
but
I'll Venmo you.
but it's just we have actually just been well, you're not obviously not doing a very good job promoting the show if you're not even spelling the band name right. So
no, that's
You know.
so funny. One of my friends
Right.
owns a venue in St. Louis, and there have been a few times. He's a dude. He's new at it. I have as much love, but there will be a whole poster for a show or something, and it'll get canceled. But then nobody says anything, and then it's day of. We're like, "Is this happening?" And he's, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll hit a big.
Matt, do you have any shows coming up? Are you guys touring now?
the band just finished up our tour, and then my solo record tour, which is actually me and two of my kids are my backup band.
Oh my god!
Is gonna
Nice.
is gonna start in January. We're actually gonna be in St. Louis at the end of
My next question.
in February. I think.
Where are you playing?
Is it February? No,
Sweet.
it's. I don't remember where we're playing. We are playing in St. Louis. We announced
All right,
Yeah.
we got to get that.
so. Oh no, it's in April
I'm going
or
to come
May.
out for that.
I think it's in April that we're
We'll
that
figure
playing
it
in
out.
St.
We'll
Louis.
Google it. As long as the advertising
Yeah.
is good, we'll be there.
Well, I made all
Yeah,
I
we
made
wanna
all
make
the
sure.
advertising, so it's all spelled correctly. And
See you in April.
Perfect.
all right, sounds good.
Matt,
Yeah.
we are going to be there. I want to come out and meet you in person. I appreciate your time and your story, and we're going to share all the details for the band name and for new record, especially that is about a little bit about recovery, but it's your story, and I think that's really cool, and I can't wait to check it out myself. If you need anything from St. Louis, you
All
let us
right.
know. We'll happy to treat you guys to dinner or something.
Oh, thank you.
I admire you so much, and thanks for sharing a part of your journey.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, stick around for just a second after we end here so it uploads.
You don't are we doing
Jeff,
a song? We as like
Nah.
Okay,
he doesn't probably have time at this point.
Yeah. I should probably get going.
I respect the boundary.
Yeah. We will point people. I'll drop the YouTube link right in the comments, right in the thing here.
Yeah, that was fun and cool. Thanks for coming on, Matt. This was awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Pondoff's Anonymous is hosted by Chris Pondoff with Zoe Mendenhall and Jeff Allen. Produced, engineered, mixed, and filmed by Jeff Allen. Recorded at Illinois Recovery Center in the Pondoff's Anonymous studios. Music by McCall. The track is Anti-Hero. This podcast shares stories. It's not a substitute for professional help. If you need support, visit pondoffsanonymous.com and contact us.